On October 11th, 2022, about 9 p.m. PST, I started on the quest to make my own sourdough starter. I had always wanted to make sourdough bread because my husband loves it, and I know that it's better for your gut because of the healthy bacteria. I also thought about it in the event that we could not make it to the store, or if the store did not have baking soda or baking powder, that I would need to learn to be more self-sufficient in this area. That said, I was very intimidated to begin the sourdough journey because the more I researched it, the more I learned that this living organism of bacteria had to be kept alive and fed on a consistent basis. And I was not sure if I was ready for all of that, seeing he was only the one who ate the bread and he did not even eat it that frequently. Well, as you can see, since you're watching this video, I have since gotten over that fear and took the plunge into the sourdough starter world. And since then, I have never looked back. He won't let me look back anyway, because since he has tasted the recipes that I've made using the sourdough, every time I make something, he says, okay, we're not going back to his favorite store that we used to go to buy the sourdough, the artisan bread. Now, I can't go back to the store to buy homemade bagels, English muffins, and then the loaf bread. So, and quite a few other things, but now I am the sourdough baking queen. So, there's no looking back. But I have found a way that is less stressful for me, and that is going to keep Kaylee alive. And Kaylee is the name of my sourdough starter, which her name means in the Hebrew means to keep alive and to maintain. So that's what she all about. So that's her name. She's my partner now, and she is helping me master this sourdough game. So what the heck is a sourdough starter? It is composed of fermented flour and water. A sourdough starter is a leavening agent that uses naturally occurring yeast and bacteria to make baked goods rise. What does that remind you of? It reminds me of kombucha and water kefir, because of the naturally occurring bacteria. So it is a healthy bacteria that is good for your gut. What is the mother dough? Sourdough starters are lovingly referred to as mother dough. Unlike other leavening agents, a sourdough starter isn't found on a baking aisle. A sourdough starter is a living organism that requires cultivation and maintenance. Hence, we got our girl Chaya. Okay. I gotta remember her name because I just actually gave her this name. So when properly fed, sourdough starters live for years and give life to endless loaves of bread. All right. So what do you need to get started? All you need is your flour, and I used whole wheat flour and all-purpose flour mixed together, and some water, some lukewarm water. If you're not going to use filtered water, you want to make sure that you let your tap water sit out for at least 24 hours so that that it doesn't have the chlorine in it, because that's going to kill the natural bacteria, right? So on the very first day, I don't know why, I was just really, really nervous, but it really is not that deep. Okay, so of course you're going to need a scale, and the scale needs to be, everything's going to be measured out in grams. And so I started off with 50 grams of whole wheat flour mixed with 50 grams of all-purpose flour, and then I added 100 grams of the lukewarm water. You just want to make sure that that water is not hot, because that's what going to kill the bacteria, right? So then you're just going to mix that up, and you're going to let it sit for 24 hours, right? So this whole process, if your kitchen temperature is above 70 degrees or 70 or above, this whole process is going to take 7 days. If it's cold in your kitchen, it could take 10 to 14 days. But there is a trick that you can do in order, if your kitchen is cold, you can use the oven turn on the light. Do not turn on the oven. Turn on the light, but do not turn on the oven. And just set it in there, and that'll give a little bit of warmth, enough warmth to get your sourdough starter rise. One of the reasons why I use the whole wheat flour is because it has more bacteria on it. So it will kind of ensure that your this process goes smoothly for you. So I'm putting the rubber band on at the level at the top of the where the sourdough starter is at this moment. Now this is day 1. On day 2, we are not going to do anything other than stir the starter. And then on day 3, and you'll see the starter would have risen above the level of, where it started. That is ensuring me that this process is working properly. So that's the reason why I put the rubber band there. But you can eyeball it if you would like, but it's kind of fun to see. And but it's not 100% necessary. I just put the date and the time that I started because you want to check this every 24 hours. And we will get to the next step. So I just didn't want to forget to record, but this is my sourdough starter. This is where it was yesterday. This is going to be day 3 at 9 o'clock. It's 6:10. And so look how far it has risen. I have the lid on very loosely. It's not tied on there at all. But look, and it's active and it's doing things. So today is going to be my first discard day. I'm very excited about it. Yeah, so that's what we are. Yay! We made it to day 3. So what we're going to do today, we're going to do it today and for the next 7 days. So from day 3 to day 7, this is what we're going to do every 24 hours, right? From day 3 to day 7. So we're going to get a new jar, yes, and then we're going to weigh out 100 grams of the lukewarm water, 100 grams of all-purpose flour, and 50 grams of the starter. Now, you hear the word discard kind of thrown around, and if you're new like me, I'm like, well, what does that mean, discard? Well, that's because I'm only going to be using 50 grams of the starter, and the rest is going to be discarded. Now, there are recipes that you can make, discard sourdough recipes, which I'm going to show you some that I made in the next video. And that was one of the things that really, really bothered me, because throughout this process, the discard was a lot. So you can either take the discard and put it in your compost, or you can put it in a refrigerator and then you can, use it in other recipes. But this first week, you're going to be discarding a lot of flour. And I did not want to be doing that on a regular basis. So I found a system, which I'll tell you about later, that worked for me. But again, the very first day, you're going to, do the system that I told you. Day 2, you're not going to do anything besides stir it. And then day 3, this is what you're going to do. Okay. So, and you're going to do this from day 3 to day 7. Now, remember, if your kitchen temperature is, you should see some action. Like you saw that on, you should see some bubbles, some bubbling. It should have a nice smell. It shouldn't smell sour. And if your kitchen is too cold, then remember this process may take a little bit longer unless you do the oven light thing that we talked about earlier. But that is pretty much this entire process. And I'm going to talk a little bit at the end. I'm going to show you the final product and talk about what to do next. The one thing that I want to mention here is that you see how my sourdough starter is floating. That's what you want to see. That is the way that you actually test your sourdough starter to make sure that it's good before you start baking with it. So, and I was just showing you the sourdough discard. you know, at the end of the week, I had a whole bunch of those jars in my refrigerator. I think I did end up throwing them away, and it really just hurt my heart. But the other thing is that you're going to see me wiping the inside. The thing that you want to, if you start watching other people's sourdough videos, you'll see the jars look like horrible. Like, I mean, that flour water mixture, once it dries, it is difficult to get off. So that's why sometimes you see people trying to clean it off, you know, while it's wet, or they change jars a lot. But some people don't change jars because they want all that good bacteria. But I just wanted to remind you that when you are working with this sourdough stuff, make sure that you wipe it off really, really quick, clean it off really quick, even like on your spoons and things of that nature, because once it dries, it's just like, I see why they make glue out of it, okay? So I woke up early in the morning and look at this. So this is why it's really good to have something up under the container. Now, two reasons why this happens. One, your container is too small. And the second one is your starter is just really, really active, which is a good thing. You want that. But we don't want all this mess. So from this point forward, I'm going to start using a larger jar. You'll kind of get around to what kind of size jar you need to use based on how often you are using the sourdough starter. But like I said, you're going to do this process for 3 to 7 days. After your 7th day, what do? If you're going to go ahead and bake something, then you know, you want to check to see if your sourdough starter is ready by making sure that it floats at the end. If it doesn't float, you want to continue this process maybe another day or two. So we kind of got a half float action going on. But after your 7 days and you want to use your starter, you don't just take it out of the refrigerator. Okay, now let me say this first. Depending upon how often you want to bake, if you're going to be baking, if you have a large family and you're going to be baking like 3 loaves or baking every day, then what you're going to do is you're just going to leave your starter on the counter and feed it every 24 hours like we've been doing for the past 3 to 7 days. You're just going to do that every 24 hours, that whole process, right? But if you're like me, you're not going to be doing it that often, then you're going to need it to feed it at least once a week, okay? And then what you're going to do is you can put it in the refrigerator, right? But before you get ready to use it, you need to feed it, right? So you're going to feed it like what I'm doing this whole process all over again. You feed it and then you let it get active. Like you're going to see it bubble and everything like that, right? And then you are going to, test it to make sure that it floats. So I'm going to say it again, because at the end, if you want to make something, right, you're going to feed it one last time, and it's not going to take 24 hours. It only takes a few hours after you feed it, and you should see it bubble. Depending on the temperature of your kitchen, right? It could be an hour, it could be 2 hours, but you should start seeing it, the size of it increase. You should see it rising, and you should see it bubbling, and then you can go ahead and do the float test. Once you've kind of been doing it, you can just look at it and gauge and be like, okay, this is ready, right? But I would recommend when you're in the beginning, you just do the float test after a few hours, right? So this is right before you get ready to use it. So I'm doing this because I was ready to use it like right away. I had a recipe, I was ready to go. And so I did the float test, but I didn't feed it again. So now I'm like, okay, let me feed it again, right? Because that's what you're supposed to do. Right before you get ready to use it, you need to feed it. So now I'm going to tell you my thing that I do so that I don't have to worry about discard, okay? Because remember, once you feed it, right, you let it sit out. When you get ready to use it, either you're going to be taking it out of the refrigerator if you are once a week or more, or taking it off the counter, right, and going ahead and feed it like I'm feeding it now, then waiting for a few hours or whatever till you see that it's active. And then you're going to grab whatever the amount of sourdough that the recipe calls for. But then you're going to be left with the discard, right? What I do now is, because I don't want to be left with any discard, is I make sure that I have enough sourdough to use up pretty much almost everything in the jar, that I only have a little bit left, just enough to make another, batch. So let's say, for an example, and now two things that I see the benefits, because my husband likes a very sour bread, right? So this keeps the sourdough really active, and only takes a little bit. It could just be, I would probably say I could just have like a tablespoon inside of there and in the refrigerator. And I just check it every so often. And if it looks like it's getting water at the top or oily at the top, that means that your sourdough is hungry. Then I just add 25 to 50 grams of flour and water mixture and put it back in the refrigerator. So I just keep it fed, because sometimes my goal is to do this only once a month. So I just go in there and feed it. I check on it and feed it every so often, but it's not really a big deal. I have went like 2-3 weeks without feeding it. I don't discard anything. When I get ready to make a recipe, I figure out how much I'm going to be making. And if I'm going to be making a real big recipe, then I use a lot of flour, enough to make, what I'm going to be making. And I try to use up most of that flour. And so that I'm not discarding anything, because I hate that. I hate discarding. So I just try to make enough. I have enough recipes in my little sourdough cookbook, that now I can just continue making recipes, whether it calls for a lot of sourdough or a little bit of sourdough. I do not do any more discarding. Okay. But that's up to you. You can leave it up to you. If you don't feel comfortable with that, then just go ahead and continue this method that I'm telling you. And I'm going to repeat it, because I know this can be confusing. So once you get finished after your 7 days, if you're going to be doing this frequently, a few times a week, leave it on the counter, and you're just going to continue that same process every single day, every 24 hours. If you're going to be doing it less frequently, then you can feed your sourdough starter every week. And what you're going to do is go ahead and put it in the refrigerator after that last feeding. And then a week later, you're going to take it out. You're going to put it. I don't think I told you what to feed it with. So you're going to feed it, and all of these instructions will be in the description. So, don't worry about if it sounds confusing or anything like that. The step-by-step instructions will be in the description. So how do you keep it alive? 25 grams of your mature starter mixed with 100 grams of water and 100 grams of your all-purpose flour. Okay. So after the 7 days, you take it out. You're going to put get another jar, put your 25 grams of your starter, 100 grams of water, 100 grams of flour, mix it up, and put your fresh new, let it sit out for a minute to get active. Once you see it bubbles, increase in size, then you put it in the refrigerator for another 7 days, or until you use it again. And then you would discard the rest of that. And I don't do it that way. I just told you how I do it. Okay. So now let's get into a recipe. So I am going to make my very first, again, the instructions and everything will be in the description. The recipe for this bread will also be in the description, and more details. Okay. Because I am a novice, I'm going to show you a couple of the people where I got these recipes from, and then you can kind of see, them do it. But what I wanted to show you is that if I can do it, sis, you can do it, right? Because I am a novice. I'm over here doing a thing. I just finally got over my fear, and jumped into it and did the thing. So if I can do it, you can do it too. And you can have healthier bread for your family. I have talked to a lot of sisters since they've been eating sourdough bread. Have told me that before they couldn't even eat bread, and now they don't have any stomach issues or gastric issues or anything like that because they eat now sourdough bread. But they also wanted to learn how to make it themselves, and so boom, here you go. So we're going to make an artisan loaf because that is the first thing that my husband, I wanted to make for my husband. So we hopefully I could replace the place that he likes to go in San Francisco. So I'm just weighing out. Everything has to be weighed out, sis. Baking is, everything has to be measured out, and you can't just be putting anything, eyeballing it and all that kind of stuff. You need to measure it out. Okay, so it has been 1 hour, and now I'm going to just mix this salt water in with the dough. And the dough doesn't actually look any different to me, but it does feel different. So far I think we're doing pretty good. We're gonna let this sit for 1 more hour. This shit is a long process. This bread better be good. You really have to do this early. What did I get myself into? So I'm getting ready to attempt to do my stretch and folds. I'm going to wet my hands. This is cold water. I don't think I want to use cold water. All right, then you let this sit for another 30 minutes. So I'm gonna be doing this for about an hour and a half, so I might as well go get in the shower and get in the bed. I think I'm gonna put some more plastic on there. So it's 11:18 p.m. I should have been paying attention to the time before. This is my second slap and fold. It's kind of fun for some reason. So this was my very, very first sourdough bread. Like I said, it's the artisan bread. And the one thing that I learned about this bread is that you need to eat it up all in the same day. It gets very, very hard.
You're supposed to be gentle with it. Okay.
Like after the first
It's the last one.
day, and then once you put it in the refrigerator, the freezer, it still doesn't come back like as that fresh bread.
Like I really did.
So it led me to learn how to make the sandwich bread because it stores better. It lasts longer because my husband's not going to eat this whole loaf of bread all in one day. But I did make a rain-fed bruschetta after I had put it in the freezer or whatever and took it out. I crisped it up in the toaster and made a nice bruschetta. But this is one of the reasons that got me into making other things with the sourdough, because this fancy bread is for like if you're going to be doing this for a bunch of people, or if your family is going to eat this whole loaf, all in one day, because it's the best when eating all in one day. The other thing is, make sure before you slice open to your bread, any kind of bread,
look at that,
make sure that it's completely cool, in case I ever forget to say that. Okay? Unless you are going to eat it, that day. The reason why is because it reduces the shelf life when you cut into hot bread. So I just wanted to say that. Some very weird shaped dough. All right, now I think it's 2 hours. So I am going to spare you the long process of me showing you how I shape the bread. But I do want to say, you see this whole process that I'm going through. And you know how sometimes sisters, like, they see you make stuff and you show them and they be like, oh sis, can I get a piece of that? Even though this is not my bread, I'm making it for, my husband. He always be like, you could get him the recipe, because you see all the work that goes into this when you start making your own stuff. Honey, this is a process, so this is not something like you be like, okay, unless you making like 50 loaves or something like that. You treasure this kind of stuff. You just want to show people, like, this is how you make it. Here's a recipe, boom, boom, boom. But like my kombucha and stuff like that, that stuff take me like almost 2 weeks to make one batch. I'm not about to be spreading kombucha love out, like that, because I will show you how to make it. I'm more than happy, but I want you to see how detailed, how much time. I was up all night long making this one batch of bread. Mind you, this was my first batch, but still the process of the different timings and everything is still the same. But yeah, that's what I'm saying about this bread, honey. Here is the recipe. I'm trying to shape this bread the best I can, but I should have used my actual cutting board so that it wouldn't move, but it's all good. And then I did not have all the right tools, but it's okay, sis. I mean, you work with whatever you have. So one of the tools I didn't have was I didn't have a bread basket. Okay, so you have to proof the bread in the bread basket, and then you're going to put it in its container and, wherever you're going to cook it and proof it again, I believe. So, yeah, I didn't have the right container, but it's all good. And the other thing, if I forget to say, is I should have cut the bread. When you see me cut the bread should have been in the container when I cut it, and that way it wouldn't have messed with the shape. But it's like I said, it's my first time. It's a learning process, and we're gonna see if the bread turns out edible or not. We're gonna do this together. So it's been 12 hours. Here, let me move this. It's been 12 hours. I need to get a real, what's it called? But anyway, it's been 12 hours. Girl, I'm tired, okay? I ain't go to bed till 3 o'clock. And so, let's see. We need to turn this over. I'm scared, y'all. I want you to be here for this. But I do want you to know that I am scared. Oh, look at my little bread. So you're supposed to just take it, let it be at room temperature before you put it in the oven. It don't look like it rose. It don't look like it's doing anything. I'm very concerned, but this is where we are. All right, so I'm a little concerned. My bread doesn't look like her bread. And I was supposed to flip it out when it was ready to go into the pan. So I am going to show you this entire process. If it doesn't turn out to be like how hers is, then it just doesn't. Okay, this is my first sourdough, so maybe you can learn from my mistakes. So anyway, I will. I'm gonna give it about 15 more minutes, maybe, because it's still a little cold, and then I'm going to put it in the oven. Okay, I'm scared. Like I said, anyway, I took it out before I was supposed to, but now I'm going to put this. It ain't doing right. Hers split all open and everything when she did hers. Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm not going to give up if this didn't turn out right. I'm not going to give up. I don't think this even fit in this little pan. I don't know how this is going to turn out, y'all. She said spray it with water. How much water? Let me go watch the video. I'll be back. Okay. I think I did enough. So I'm just going to put the lid on here. Wish me rain, y'all. I don't know. So the oven this thing is so heavy. Oh my God, I'm scared, y'all. It is what it is. Oh shit! Oh snap! Oh damn! She said 25 minutes. Oh man. Oh. All right. I think this is good enough. dark enough? What you think? You see that? So take it off from here. All right, so there's my bread. I'm so excited. The reason why it's kind of misshapen is two reasons, right? It's because, so this got to sit for 2 hours. So it is 4:22, so 6:22. Because I didn't have an actual bread basket, and then I took it out. You're supposed to just take it out right before you put it in the oven. But it just looks like it's gonna be good. I don't know, y'all. It's my first sourdough. It's hard as a brick too. Hello. The moment of truth has arrived, y'all. I'm about to cut this bad boy open. I think I'm gonna cut it down the middle. Huh?
Put it how you want. I'd say cross-cut though.
Cross-cut, why?
For that little flip that's coming out.
If you wanted to make a sample, what, like this?
I mean this one.
This one? Like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Supposed to cut the booty first. Well, I see what you. Yeah, go ahead. You want to crack it open and look in the middle like the top chef.
Uh-huh.
Baker's never don't touch your tongue.
Oh, it's hard.
That's what it's going to be. Nice and crispy on the outside. It's just going to take it. That's what it's supposed to be. That's not very cut. Look at that, nice and good in the middle.
Does it smell like sourdough bread?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, cut the end off.
Where? Right here?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's...
Just cut it like a saw.
It's hard. This bread, this knife is not sharp. Let me see it. What's it taste like?
Sorry though. Could be a little more sour though. It's good though.
Look at that. That's good. Wow.
Alright, take a bite out of it. Nah.
You like it?
Yeah. We will not be going to Acme bread again. Look at that. Nice, got a nice crust and it's nice and soft. Hello. You hear that?
So this was the story of how Chaya was born and what I did with her when she first got here. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that it encouraged you, sis. If I can do it, you certainly can do it. And also stay tuned if you want to see all the other things that I made with Chaya and the progress that we've made thus far. Thank you so much for watching and stay rainy. What are you doing? Stop it.